All right, and for more on this, we're joined by Gabe Debenedetti, national political reporter for Politico. So, Gabe, what do you make of this report and the president already responding to it?
Well, in some ways, it's not too much of a surprise. Obviously, when former FBI Director Jim Comey spoke on the Hill a few days ago, he did suggest that something like this might be in the works, even though he didn't know directly. And of course, the president has been lashing out at anyone who suggests that he's under investigation. But that back and forth is not new. But what's interesting here is that the White House is both saying, or the president's lawyers are both saying, this is totally ridiculous and made up, but also it's illegal leaks. Well, both of those things can't both be true, but they're on the defensive here, clearly.
Yeah, we've heard them say that before about different topics. Is this just more fuel to the fire, though, when it comes to those rumors that the president may have been considering removing Mueller from the investigation?
Absolutely. That makes this a very big, very prominent story. Now that there is a public report and a number of public reports in the last few hours suggesting that the president is potentially under investigation by Mueller's group for obstruction of justice, it would be very difficult, politically speaking, for the president to try and remove Mueller. Obviously, that's something that he still, in theory, has the power to do, and by some accounts might even feel more empowered to do so. But if the question is he trying to obstruct justice? Is he trying to obstruct the Russian investigation? That might intensify those questions if he tried to get rid of Mueller. That said, he still might do it. You know, he is not one to exactly be politically predictable.
All right, let's shift the focus to yesterday's shooting at the congressional baseball game practice. How are people on the Hill reacting today?
You know, people are still pretty shaken by what happened yesterday. Obviously, it sort of cracked the veneer of a safe environment for a lot of people, members of Congress, but also people that just work on the Hill. It's a very big environment. Obviously, it's a resilient bunch. People are trying to put a happy face on it, show some unity ahead of today's congressional baseball game. But the partisan bickering, that hasn't really stopped, especially with all of the political backdrop here, both with the investigations into President Trump, but also fighting over things like the health care bill. So it's a weird feeling on the Hill right now where everyone is trying to be respectful, but the politics still loom.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. You know, there were calls for unity from the president, from other lawmakers. By the same token, many people will say that bipartisanship is as bad as it's ever been in Washington. Do you see a change at all? Do you see beyond the next 24 hours maybe something shifting permanently?
Well, there's certainly a greater appetite right now on the Hill for people to try and work together for some kind of bipartisan, feel, even if it's not actually going to be borne out in the crafting of legislation. The congressional baseball game itself is tonight, and I think you're going to see a great show of unity there. But I do think that this is the kind of shocking moment that really sort of stuns members of Congress into thinking maybe we should be working together in a few more ways. That said, it's not really clear what that's going to look like because, you know, as I mentioned, and as everyone seems to be buzzing about here in Washington, there are major political issues that are coming down the pipeline on which Republicans and Democrats overall couldn't be further away from each other.
Although we did see yesterday pretty significant unity on the vote to increase sanctions on Russia.
That's right, and that sort of still proves that there are some issues here where almost everyone agrees. The vote, there are only 2 senators disagreed with everyone else there, so there was some agreement. That said, that's not really a controversial topic for those senators. They were basically saying to Russia, no more interfering in our elections, please. Not really with a very nice, polite please, more of an iron fist there. But basically what they're saying is, you know, we can come together and agree that we should be able to hold sovereign elections that others don't fight on. But when it comes to domestic politics, at least, there's still a bit of back and forth.
Yeah, they may be saying that, but the president isn't. So therein lies the division, the president and Congress.
No kidding. One more question for you, Gabe. Is anybody talking about security there? Is there more of a sort of a ratcheting up of concern over security for themselves, for these congresspeople?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this isn't really something that a lot of people are trying to talk about in the open because, of course, it's a very sensitive topic, right. But it's certainly a topic of constant chatter. Again, not just among the elected officials, but thousands of people work on Capitol Hill, whether it's reporters, congressional staffers, all sorts of folks. And there is a question of security. So I think you're going to see more talk about that in the coming days, coming weeks, but don't expect to see too many resolutions or too many proposals come out into the open here because they really don't want to advertise that kind of conversation.
All right, Gabe Debenedetti, thank you so much.